Disney's Lightning Lane Premier Pass is now available to all guests and not just those staying at a Walt Disney World hotel.
Yeah, so if you remember correctly, this started as only available to deluxe and DVC resort guests. Then back in, I want to say December, it opened to Walt Disney World guests, like all of them. And now it's literally everybody. Off property, on property, locals, whoever. But those staying on property can purchase it 7 days beforehand, just like multi-pass and single pass. While off property or locals or anybody that's not staying on property only has those 3 days before. So it is possible that it might sell out before those 3 days, which gives you an advantage if you're still a Walt Disney World Resort guest. So
it's only sold out though, like during Christmas, I believe.
That's the only time it's sold out so far, and Thanksgiving, like major holidays.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And for those that don't know, their Premier Pass, because again, it's gotten complicated now. You have Lightning Lane Multi-Pass, which is basically like Fast Pass. Mm-hmm. Then you have Single Pass, where you can buy a
individual Lightning Lane, basically.
For select rides. So if you really want to ride like Guardians, you can do that. And then Premier Pass is essentially, if you're familiar with like Universal Studios Express Pass, it is essentially that. You can basically, you don't have to have a reservation on your phone. You can just walk up to any of the rides, have Lightning Lanes at least one time per day. Just get into that line.
In one park.
And ride it. In one park, yes. So now this one has been controversial because it is very expensive. On the most expensive day at Magic Kingdom, it is $450 per person per day per park. So you can't park hop with these and things like that.
Right.
I guess the question would come down to, this is in test phase or a pilot program.
They call it, yeah, they're testing.
So this very well could be part of the original plan to originally make this available to everyone. I'm wondering if this is leading to the fact that they're just not selling as many of these, because initially this was only for deluxe hotel guests, and then it got moved where it was available to all hotel guests, and now it's available to everyone.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that is true. I think maybe they had always planned on it being available to everybody, but they were just trying to maybe get all the kinks out and figure out like, okay, how many do we sell a day? Like, how does that work with multi-pass and single pass? And as they've learned all of that, then they can incorporate it more so more people can buy it. That's just my thinking. It's just like, again, it's a test thing.
The caveat to that would be if they were selling a ton of these, I don't think they would open it up to more, though. It's just thinking outside the box. I mean, if you were already selling a bunch of these, you wouldn't need to do that.
Have you seen the way they sell things sometimes?
Oh, I know. Well, I mean, and I've said all along, I definitely think this is a way for them to try and bolster more revenue. It really just comes down to how, I would love to know, we'll never know, how many of these are they selling? Because I've had questions about how this impacts standby lines and Lightning Lane lines and all that stuff like that. But there are, I said when they announced this, I think there are people that would splurge on it that don't want to also splurge on a deluxe hotel. If you're already spending $400, $500 per night, just because those people have the budget for that doesn't mean they also want to spend an extra $400 plus per day per person to do that. So there are people that would rather stay offsite or, let's say, a value and then spend that extra money on a Premier Pass. So I think it makes a lot of sense from a just opening up to more people. But I am curious how this goes along, because initially before, when they changed Fast Pass over to Genie Plus, which is now Lightning Lane, if you're not confused yet, you will be. So I am, and I talk about this all the time. They almost did this as they almost changed it over to this style of basically Fast Pass of just having this Premier Pass. I do wonder if eventually they move over to where this is just the main one they have, and maybe still have like your single pass ones, like your select attractions you want to do. But I do wonder if they eventually move to this model, because I do actually think it makes more sense for like park flow and just like not impacting standby lines and things like that as much.
I don't know. I mean, it's possible. I think multi-pass is very profitable for them, and I think they probably make more money from that, even though Premier Pass is more expensive. I don't know.
Well,
I guess it depends on demand.
It does. I've often wondered, because I think it would do well for them to have more benefits for like to get more people to stay on property. Let's say they moved over to say just a Premier Pass offering. You then potentially, I wouldn't say all of them, but select deluxe hotels, you could then do like say what Universal does, which is then offer that as a perk and say, hey, if you stay at the Grand Floridian, you also get Lightning Lane Premier Pass. Like, I think if they did it that way, it would open them up to be able to use it as a perk more. Because you do have the scenario where they may need to entice people to come to the parks more the next couple of years, perhaps. We'll have to wait and see how that shakes out. But incorporating more perks could help with that. I'm not saying they will.
Yeah,
I've often wondered if this is where they eventually move to. But either way, you can get it now.
I could see them doing some kind of promo if, they're desperate to get people in or whatever the situation is. I can see them doing some kind of promo like they do with free dining, where it's like you have to pay rack rate for the room.
Yeah.
It has to be a minimum number of nights where you would get that free. Or out of let's say you have to book like a 4-night stay and you get 1 day of a Premier Pass free or something.
Yeah.
I could see them doing something like that. I don't see them doing just book it and you get it for free like they do for annual pass holders with Express Pass over at Universal. I don't see them doing that.
I don't think they would do it at all of them because they have more. So you'd have you'd have a ton of people that would have these. And again, it just comes down. That's why I was saying I think the only way they would do it is if the Premier Pass was the only pass that was available. Because at this point, you have to assume with multi-pass and single pass out there, they don't sell that many of these per day. We don't know the amount, but let's say it's 100.
Yeah.
If they had only the Premier Pass as the main one to offer, that would probably bump up that number to, say, I don't know, 500 per park or something, depending on the park capacity. That way you could do it then. I don't think they would do it if they have all of it out there, but... Technically, it's a pilot program, though, so that could technically go away. I don't know. But obviously, it's only sold out when it's been very, very busy.
Right.
Which doesn't surprise me because I feel like
Makes sense.
Well, I feel like it was meant for people. I think if you go a lot, most people know how to navigate the parks to be able to get the most out of it. I feel like it was always meant for people let's say you had, you've got discretionary income, you show up and it's Christmas and you're like, oh my goodness, it's a 120-minute wait for... it's a small world.
Right.
And you just get it then because it's busy. I feel like it was always meant for that kind of crowd. But I don't know. It's an interesting offering. If anybody out there has got it, I would love to know what you thought about it.
Yeah.
Because I generally I don't plan on ever getting it. And I don't know many people in our listenership that has gotten it. Is that a word? Listenership? That's a word now. That has gotten it. So I am curious as the people that have gotten it, what they think about it, if they think it was worth it, things like that. But, as of right now, if you want to get it, you can. Even if you're staying off property.
That's right.
So
that's right.